Hi, everybody. So I just noticed something about the jacks as I was giving a reading recently. And thank you so much to all those who have been buying kits. It's like there's a sudden flurry of people buying kits. And then I had a friend over yesterday, and she was very concerned about her 29-year-old son who is just entering his Saturn return, and he's the Queen of Hearts. And so I'm like, oh, well, he should read his kit. And so I pulled it up and I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, this is such good stuff. So I don't often get feedback on kits and so forth, but if you purchased a kit and you're watching live or on the replay, just add a little comment about, how you found it, if it was helpful to you and so forth. So anyway, that's my puppy making strange noises back there. Hello, Green Knight Errant. How are you? So good to see you here. Maisie. Yeah, the bath water just ran brown this morning. I washed them both down. So anyway, let's talk about the jacks. And in a nutshell, what I discovered is that the clubs, and so looking at the mundane chart, the clubs and the hearts have Jupiter, or is it Mars? Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter. They both have a Jupiter connection to their king. So if you look at the Jack of Hearts here in the mundane spread, and you go Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, King of Hearts. So good, you're doing good. You're a Jack of Hearts Decan card. Oh, that's great. Okay, so this is going to apply to you, especially in relationships. So the Jack is going to become a king, and you've met many men who are in their Jack and they're not in their king, or you can see that pivotal moment where they stepped into their king. And what I've noticed is that clubs and hearts tend to be, they've got father issues. They're they're dealing with something kind of constantly. There's a lack of confidence. There's for the Jack of Hearts, they've got these two nines following, and nines in the personality tend to make you kind of vague and difficult to locate yourself. Some nines are a little stronger than others in terms of having a sense of will, but anyway, so the king is Jupiter, so they're developing, they look to that king and they're like, that's my goal. And when I reach this expansion within myself, I will be stepping into my king. You have mommy issue. So the Jack of Hearts is your Decan. What is are you the Five of Spades? Trying to remember what your card is. And we can actually look at that. But and then to finish off this thought, the Jack of Diamonds and the Jack of Spades, when you encounter a spade or a diamond male, they tend to be more kind of in their own power. They tend to be more of an individual. They tend to kind of know who they are and where they're going. It doesn't mean that they're not going to have father issues or inadequate fathers, but Five of Spades, Nine of Clubs, planetary. Okay, we'll take a look at that. So yeah, Seven of Hearts ascending from the Five of Spades, Venus. So that might be like disappointment with mother, but because it's ascending, it's like this is going to become a strength. It's like that's something that came from within you, that speaks to your authentic personality or power, is kind of how I've looked at it. So yeah, finding it, maybe just pulling it out of yourself in a raw kind of way that maybe there wasn't an example to follow. It's just like, oh, I have to let go of this regarding the mommy issue. But anyway, yeah, getting back to the Jack of Diamonds. So the Jack of Diamonds here, where is the king? Well, he's way the heck over. It's like, doesn't even make sense to kind of evaluate that in terms of relationship. And we will get to the pure spread because obviously they're Venus and the pure spread. And then the Jack of Spades, well, he's just really far from his king too, which is up here. So yeah, they tend to just feel more, I am myself. I don't define myself as I am in relationship to my father. So let's think about the pure spread for a minute. My dog is, no, Maisie, come, Maisie, come. Come on. Max, you can stay out. So naturally, after I gave Max a bath, he needs to go roll in the dirt. Maisie doesn't get to go out. So in the pure spread, this kind of aha came to me, sort of a formulaic thing. So obviously, all the jacks and kings have a Venus connection. So I thought, so my guides kind of came in and they said, when you're looking at ascending and descending, and we'll get back to the mommy issues if you want to. We can look more at that and like what your mom's card is, because let's interact. Let's make it a Q&A as we go. So this download that I got, when you're looking at the pure spread, the ascending is yang and the descending is yin. So as you're descending in the mundane or the pure spread, you look to those cards in terms of what you're going to receive. When you go to the left, right? Receive, feminine, left brain. And then when you go to the right, it's give. So the kings have the jack. Well, let's just look up here. The kings have the jack in an ascending Venus, which means they give, they mother, they nurture, they care, they are friends with the jack, as well as their own internal jack. So relating to the jack for the king is a way of healing their inner child or staying in touch with that younger, more playful or creative, less responsible side of them. Whereas the jack, the descending king, is, I receive from you as my friend, as my father. Green Knight says, for reference, my mom is an ace of diamonds, queen of diamonds. I can't remember her decan. Okay, so if we look at, let's look at 5 of spades and ace of diamonds here. Just got a hit to look at that in the pure spread. Oh, well, there's a Uranus connection to the queen of diamonds here. So that would indicate like kind of an unpredictable, inconsistent, not always there, kind of absent sometimes, but also having a role in raising your consciousness. Okay, and then the 5 of spades to ace of diamonds. Or, okay, the 9 of clubs. There's a diagonal. So 9 of clubs, you go down diagonally to get to the ace of diamonds. So that's a mother connection. And 5 of spades. I wonder too if your mom is in her jack sometimes, because that jack has a descending Venus with the 5 of spades here. So anyway, yeah. So if you're watching, go ahead and respond to your sense of that in terms of dealing with jacks in particular or men of particular suits. So you might see these little things on my temples. These are patches. Photobiomodulation from LifeWave, and these are carnosine patches. They help my brain. And in terms of thinking of our own suit and how we relate to our inner masculine and our inner creative. So diamonds, that jack and the king, there is a very strong sense of individuality between the jack and the king. Oh, I'm just kind of lost all of a sudden. So what do you want to talk about? Yeah, I was just so eager to get that out there, and now it's out there because I tend to be like, I don't want to drag it out and make you wait for the goodies. Let's just deliver them and then talk about them. So what is our card for today? It's October 25th. And that is the 10 of hearts, ace of hearts, 3 of spades. Yeah, that's kind of a complicated, it's kind of a complicated birthday. My mom is frequently in her jack, but she is the most selfish, materialistic, metering out affection and appreciation, but never, and I mean never, actually acknowledges when somebody else is right. Oh, a little narcissistic? That's what I'm hearing. Um, yeah, so that's how she is with herself. And man, Ace of Diamonds, there's so many of them, and they come in all varieties, don't they? Wide variety. And they themselves have a lot of variety within them. And what I'm sensing in your mom is that there's a lot of fragmentation. And what I'm hearing, the Ace of Diamonds, maybe this is an ace thing. They have to find a unifying principle under which to organize their personality. So that's kind of strange to think about, isn't it? A unifying principle under which to organize their personality. Yeah, that's fascinating. I think it's really challenging to be an ace. Yeah, and what I'm getting with your mom is that she just never, there were just too many things kind of pulling her. What I'm getting is that she didn't get a solid reflection of herself from her mother. And that's what's required to kind of have a foundation of a sense of self. Aces are always self-focused. I find a neutral way to say it. So the question, are aces usually the most selfish cards in the deck? It's their job to be self-focused. And depending on their level of psychological development, that can be, anything on the spectrum from narcissism to deeply self-knowing. So, yeah, they can seem really self-absorbed, really self-focused. So, are they taking that inclination in a positive or a negative direction? Is the spirit conducting that search, or is the ego directing that search? So for an ace, it's perfectly acceptable to say to them or about them, yeah, it's all about me. In general, that's true for all of us, but some people seem to have a little bit more self-awareness than others. But yeah, an ace infected with a case of narcissism is just going to be, such a solitary, kind of impenetrable sort of person. So I would say right out of the box, okay, so aces, the ace of diamonds, I consider to be sort of a tangential member of the circle of seven, the seven fixed and semi-fixed cards. I saw that heart. Thank you. I love you too. So you've got this Jack of Hearts right out of the gate, which rules both the first 7 years and the first 13 years. And because Ace of Diamonds have the Nine of Hearts as their Saturn card, they have a very karmic relationship to the circle of seven people. So her Saturn card, the Nine of Hearts, is in that circle of seven with your Mercury card, the Jack of Hearts, and your Moon card, the Seven of Diamonds, and your Jupiter card, the Two of Hearts, and your ascending Pluto, the Ace of Clubs. So if you're in that Venus line, you're going to have really intense connections with circle of seven people. And it's not just people who are circle of seven. Look in somebody's hand for one of the fixed or semi-fixed cards, and then there's a planetary connection. Where is theirs in their hand, and where is yours in your hand? And those are the two planets that are interacting. So I would say that there's a Mercury-Saturn an opposition of mind. And that's what you just said. Like, you just, there's no give, there's no relationship. There's this Saturnian, and your mind is like, here's what I think, and she's like, nope. Cosmic sunflower, hello. So I think that you can make generalities about all of the cards. Each card is the most blank in the deck. So what would you say about the five? The fives are the most in the deck. Hey, Queen Club, how are you doing? It's good to see you here. The queens are the most what in the deck? I would say managerial. They're the most managerial. What do they do with that energy of management? Do they manage the people around them? Do they manage thoughts, information? Are they the librarian with lots of information? And there definitely are control issues. They're a face card. I'm just thinking of the fact that I was born in the hour of the Queen of Clubs, and I can be very controlling about information, very black and white. It's been kind of distressing for me. I'm trying to lighten up about that. What else do we have represented here? So we've talked about aces, fives, queens, cosmic sunflower. What's your card again? Or what is your card? Let's look at the jacks, since that's the title of the video. The jacks are the most, I would say, colorful. Oh, Jack of Hearts, Cecilia. Yes, big hugs for everyone. Mostly, yes, you are mostly librarian with lots of information. Me too. It's like lots of information. They're also kind of, they have a lot of energy that they need to figure out how to channel. Yeah, right? That Mercury-Saturn connection. So yeah, let's look into that more, because that's a very juicy and intense and usually indicates ancient thing. So for you, this is something that you've probably been butting up against with her in many past lives, and this is a way that you're sanding and refining yourself against this block of sandpaper that is your mother. Hopefully no essential self is going to come off in that. The fives might be the most combative. Oh, that's very interesting. I haven't thought about that. I would say that, let's go back to the jacks. They're the most colorful, the most creative, the most open to adventure and variety, playful. I would say scheming. The more adult their card is, in other words, the diamonds and the spades, they tend to be more scheming, whereas the clubs and the hearts tend to be just more engaging, playful, mischievous. The nines might be the smartest cards in the deck. I love that you said that. They definitely have an incredible perspective on things, don't they? And they tend to hold that perspective within and kind of percolate it. And then when they come out with something, there's a lot of perspective. Cosmic Sunflower is the two of spades. So the twos are the most, I would say, connective, just like in the Enneagram. Maisie, hey! She's the three of hearts. We'll talk about threes next. Yeah, I would say twos are the most connective, and they all connect in different ways. Like the two of hearts is more, emotionally connective. I would say that you could take your suit and look at each one of the cards as your personal archetype. So the five of spades could look at the two of spades and say, maybe that's my way of relating. The two of spades will show up and help you move your shit. They will physically show up. They'll bring you food. They're based in the physical. There's a high value on doing for a friend. The two of diamonds says, I have your back. I understand your desire. I value that thing with you. And it's also internal. Spades are more likely to do for themselves. What do I need to do for myself to be my own best friend? Yeah, two of clubs, listen, communicate. Two of hearts, intimacy, a sense of being seen, acknowledgement, that deep inner child connectedness. So that's how they relate. I see you. And me as a seven of diamonds, nine of hearts, that two of hearts is my Saturn card. So it's been my lesson card my whole life. And that's definitely how people respond to me, both in readings and just in my life. They're like, I feel really seen and acknowledged by you. That's that two of hearts, just like, I see who you are. Okay, threes are the most, I would say, goal-oriented. Just throwing that out there because of the Enneagram. Three of diamonds, very goal-oriented. Three of hearts, very mercurial. Like Maisie is very goal-oriented in her, like, it's always, it's very quick little goals. Three of clubs, my husband, very goal-oriented in terms of project and the need to do and accomplish. and have tangible results because they've got the three of spades sitting right next to them. So three of spades, very achievement, action oriented. But they're also, open to variety. They also have indecision. I would say the key statement for a three is what's next, because they tend to feel like I can have pumpkin pie or cherry pie. I feel like I have to make a decision. And sometimes the resolution for them is why not have a little bit of both? Or is there something in between here? Is there a third option? Maybe that's kind of what they're evolving into or towards, is being able to be neutral, put the cards on the table, think about it. The threes I know aren't satisfied with marriage, settled life. That's interesting. My husband is very happily married in his previous marriage and in this. They're very strong identity of relating and relationship, but maybe the threes. So what are the suits? The threes that aren't satisfied with. So that three of diamonds, Mercury, Venus, Mars, they've got the five of spades in Jupiter, the seven of hearts in Venus. So that would be typical of like a need for variety, maybe a sense of disappointment or manifesting a person that they have to forgive or let go of something. Or it's extremely karmic because of the seven of diamonds as Mars. Like a three of diamonds female is probably going to have a karmic. Well, if you're gay, I should throw that in there. If you're in love with a man as a three of diamonds, it's probably going to be karmic. Okay, so clubs and diamonds, three of clubs. They do have the five of hearts in their moon position. It'd be a descending moon. So where do they take that need for variety, a need to disconnect, a need to separate, to be alone? And that's something about the three of clubs that they have to figure that out. They're going to do it one way or the other, unconsciously, through escape, through an affair, through just disappearing, through addiction. Or are they going to do good self-care and say, I need to go be by myself for a while? I used to have to tell my husband, when you leave, close the door gently and tell me where you're going, and a vague idea of when you're going to be back, because I care. I want you to go be by yourself. You don't have to steal that from me. Okay, the sevens are the most, I would say, eclectic, complicated, sensitive. There's an intelligence or even a genius aspect. Like they're not genius with everything, but they're genius about some particular things because so the way I look at it, like you see the seven of clubs here, there's a little pip that's off center. Think of that as a path, and they're going down the path, and there's this thing they have to get up over. There's something to let go of. So I think the sevens can get stuck really easily, and they have to learn to rise to a higher vibration. So the seven of clubs can be negative thinking. The seven of diamonds can be a rigid attachment to a religion or a belief or a value system. Seven of spades, this is the way things must be done, the self-righteousness kind of angle. The seven of hearts, this is how people have to be in my life. This is how they have to, and they can be. So I know seven of hearts can be very tender-hearted. It's Rumi's card, but they can be very subtly manipulative, emotionally manipulative. And I would say, yeah, all sevens can be manipulative. But when they channel that need to find the truth with the spirit rather than the ego, they're going to come up with some amazing messages and insights. I'll respond to that in a second because that's hilarious. Sevens, I want you to think about this. How many kings are friends of yours? How many royal archetypes, king, jack, queen, but especially kings, are good friends of yours? And how do you fit into their life in a different way from other people? Because sevens, yes, they can be controlling, but they don't seek generally like power and control to take over a group or whatever. So I gave them the moniker decades ago, prophet to the king. The seven is the archetype of the prophet, and they can bring the message to the king in a neutral way. They can give counsel when they're, ripened. So Cosmic Sunflower says, the 7 of clubs make me nervous. They make me nervous too. 7 of diamonds make me nervous. Let's face it, when I meet a 7 of diamonds, I'm like, or a 9 of hearts, I'm like, and I know it's a projection thing, but there's also this sense of like, what's hiding in the folds of your consciousness? What's hiding in there? It's like they're a folded up piece of paper, and it's hard for themselves to even take that piece of paper and smooth it out and say, what's going on here with me? It can be a delicious experience. And I think 7s have a detective, a very strong detective archetype, because so many things are hiding within them. So the thing about not all 7s, but yeah, all 7s, okay, let's just throw that in there, have a karmic relationship to an 8. So the 7 of hearts and 7 of diamonds deal with this 8 of hearts that sits under. So the 7 of hearts has got it coming and going. They're here in this pure spread. So the 8 is right next to them. Of course, they're next to each other in the pure spread. But the 7 of diamonds has this 8 right there. So they can be very controlling. The 7 of clubs obviously has the, say obviously, has the 8 of diamonds under it. So the puzzle they're trying to work out is like, I'm insecure, I want to feel safe. How do I control and manipulate someone into making me feel, who can deal with my sensitivities or my attachments to beliefs? So I had a 7 of clubs client for years and years until I finally just closed the door, because our readings would consist of her trying to get me to validate what she thought. And when I finally figured this out, I'm like, you don't want information, you want validation. And that's not what I'm here to do. When I give a message from spirit and somebody's in tune with that, they're like, oh, that's so validating. And yes, that's really good. But one thing my guide said to me, I said, how can I be a better reader? And they said, stop caretaking your clients' attachments. I've seen 7 of clubs easily speak things into existence, both bad and good. Oh, that's fascinating. Maybe that 8 of diamonds is like a magic wand that's hiding in there. It's like, I can make things happen. Well, it's the intersection of Saturn, Uranus. That kind of makes sense. I see a lot of electric energy compared with a command energy. So let's be kind to the 7 of clubs. It's a really difficult path that they have because they're in the Saturn line. They've got the 9 of hearts as an emotional foundation from childhood, which can mean a total absence of love, a feeling of invisibility. I just don't have a feeling of self-worth. And so they're always clawing for that. And they play the card that they have, which is this 7 energy, which is the 8 energy. So yeah, it's very challenging to be a 7 because there's this, you feel rankled within yourself from the get-go. I'm a round peg in a square hole. There's something off here just because of the way the card looks. With the pip is off center. Are there any other cards where the pip is off center? No. When I discovered that, I was like, oh, that's a raw deal, but it sure explains a lot. Okay, the 8s are the most what in the deck? The 8s. Oh gosh, an 8 walks into the room, and this is definitely an Enneagram quote. You have to deal with their energy. Their energy is felt, and you have to reckon with them. My daughter does not like having this amount of power as an 8 of clubs. And by the way, she agreed to do a live with me so we can talk about her being the 8 of clubs, our 7 of diamonds, 8 of clubs relationship. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. I've never done a Zoom thing on, but how hard is that to figure out, right? So yes, 8 are leaders. They're powerful. They have a very solid sense of, I am here. And they also have a drive toward the truth, which is partly that relationship with the 7. You always have you borrow something from the cards next to you. So the really powerful 8 has a need for the truth and discernment. They're drawing from that 7. And then the 9, let's be conciliatory, value everybody. Let's be open and non-judgmental, but let's lead. Let's pick the path forward and do it. So they're actuators. Oh, the word innovator. Okay, I don't think of that as an innovator, but let's see why that popped in there. So Mercury, Venus, Mars. They have the Jack as Mars in the pure spread. Their Jack is their descending Mars. They're innovators in action, and they might move a little more slowly or gradually. But I have seen eights be innovative, and I think it's because they have a self-validating just kind of thing about them. It doesn't mean that they can be all screwed up with self-doubt and have issues from childhood and yada yada. I mean, I created my daughter's issues. I'm very well acquainted with them. But that solid sense of self and then the original innovation idea is like, oh, I'm going to move forward with this. I know this is a good idea. And sometimes it is such a powerful, good idea, flies, that there's a lot of self-doubt around that relationship to the seven. Who am I to present this thing to the world? Okay, we've covered aces, twos, threes. We haven't talked about fours. The fours are the most think about it. I'm pausing here to let you write it in there. The fours are the most, I know what I think about this. Not the four of diamonds as much. And they have a very karmic relationship with fives, if you'll notice, with karma cards and stuff. And fives have karmic relationships with themselves, don't they? But the four, I think, is the most understated, tender-hearted, and stubborn. Eden says stable. Yes, when you have a four in your hand, there is going to be stability in that aspect of your life for sure. And it can be stuck, get in a rut, but it can also create a very stabilizing influence to the people around you, like the two of diamonds, my former and my business partner. Four of clubs in the moon position. And there's a way that he can just give counsel that just makes you feel like, oh, there it is. There's the truth. It's so clear. You know, I would explain a problem to him and he would think about it. And then like with one sentence, he'd be like, oh, well, here's this. The moon card determines what kind of counsel you give, how your counsel feels to other people. So yes, stabilizing for sure. The four of spades that I know, and there aren't that many of them, they're kind of rare, but they're very gentle. They are soft, very supportive of other people. They tend to be a little self-deprecating. I think fours can be kind of self-forgetting. Four of hearts is totally into a fantasy world. Fantasy authors. C.S. Lewis, Four of Hearts. Neil Stevenson. C.S. Lewis or Tolkien has a connection to that card. I forget what it is, but anyway. And home, the theme of home. I want to find home. I want to be home. Ah, my son is a four of clubs. I'm convinced they can motivate the sun to shine on a rainy day. Oh, I think it is because, well, and he's Jupiter Mars, right? So there's the formula for that. The capacity to uplift, to give you a sense of foundation. Fours in the Enneagram, their task is to deal with a sense of specialness, uniqueness, but also belonging. Artist seer, seven of diamonds here, nine of club ruler, saying hi. Hi. So yeah, the four of clubs, you know, that I think because they're kind of sensitive, they're very affected by their planetary position. And they're all pretty unique, aren't they? So this Jupiter Venus of the four of spades fits in with everything I just said. Uplifters, supporter of others. They can be sort of self-forgetting. I see the greatness of those around me. The four of hearts off here, Mercury, Neptune, fantasy world. You found me live. Oh, chilly. Chill. Is it chill or chilly? Chilled. When is your birthday? What is your card? The four of diamonds. Let's talk about them. So Of all the fours, they have the most fixed or stuck quality that I've seen. The men tend to be stuck in this belief that they have to work really hard for every little scrap of what they get. Denise, hey. Um, you called that, does that mean you resonate with the Four of Diamonds thing? They can be kind of standoffish. They tend to have a pretty solid sense of self. It feels like there's a lot under the surface. That Five of Spades karma card, that was the first card that I realized that the karma card can have a very powerful pull and influence. So the Four of Diamonds, and maybe this is true, the Four of Hearts, don't know them much, but since all these spades sit under their hand in the bottom here, so there's the Four of Diamonds, Four of Hearts, the spade gives them a really solid sense of like, I'm to be reckoned with. So February 12th, is that Abraham Lincoln's birthday? King of Diamonds, Six of Diamonds. That's a great combination. Oh, so we haven't talked about the kings yet. Okay, so wrapping up the fours, they're pretty unique. Speak on how they are self-forgetting. Okay, the four just wants to feel safe, secure. They want things to be stable and predictable. And I'm just leaving the Four of Diamonds out of this for some reason. For some reason, they are something else. I don't know what. Their soul number, which I don't understand how to calculate, but it's in the Mystic Test book, is 33. And the Seven of Diamonds is the 33rd card. So there's this amazing simpatico between them. But there can be a tension too. Also, that Five of Spades underneath sits right next to the Seven of Diamonds. So there's this tightness there. Yeah, I have kind of an intense relationship with the Four of Diamonds. It's like I want to get close, but not too close. So the self-forgetting, I think, comes from the need to feel secure, to feel safe. They tend to kind of look around them, take stock of who's around them, and do I feel safe with these people? Do I, like the Four of Clubs, I see them the least in my office, so to speak, because they have a kind of a stability and a clarity about what they believe and what they think. And I think it's because they've had to build that over the years. They have questing, seeking nature with that Five of Clubs under them, but looking for security, I think, is really important to them. So where does the self-forgetting come in? It's truly the Four of Spades where I see that, where there's just such a tender-hearted reaching out to others. You just got into cardology. It's your mind blow of 2024. I know, it's crazy, right? Yeah, sorry I didn't get more detail on that. It was one of those intuitive things that just kind of fell in there. So just kind of chew up, just think about it. Okay, so, and when my son, the Jack of Diamonds, was progressing from childhood into adolescence, he was moving from the Four of Hearts into the Four of Diamonds. And what I saw is that once he hit that Four of Diamonds energy, both at 8 years old, you know, going from the 7-year cycle into the next, but also especially in the adolescent, like 13, he hit his stride, and that somehow I think the Five of Spades kicked in, and he became really confident, social, incredibly popular. And up until then, he was just like a quivering mess, almost pathological stage fright. Even sitting on stage with an entire group, he would just freeze up and cry. The Four of Hearts was just like, oh, it was just torture for me as a mother. But man, when he hit his stride, so I think the Four is the most homeopathic card in the deck, where they have to source whatever security they're seeking from within. So we talked about the fives. The sixes are the most hardworking, dutiful, responsible, having a sense of pragmatically what needs to come next. There's a very strong Mars energy around the four. I mean, the six. It just came to me one day as I was rolling this around. I was like, it's work. Here's kind of a cool little factoid. So in the 5-element color study of China, which actually originates in Tibet, the 5-color study. There's a gigantic stupa up here, just about 40 minutes away. And there are 4 gates, one on each side of this square foundation, and they're all very bright colors. The green is called karma. Green is wood. Green is doing, it's work. Karma and work are the same thing. And we think of the 6 as the karma card, and I think of them as the work card. What I do has consequences. And they all have kind of their own karmic relationship with, I need to get out of here. I need freedom. What am I doing with all this responsibility? I mean, that can just be like heavy duty. They're very strong caretakers. They're very responsible, but they're also very group aware. They don't just want to control the group. They want to facilitate efficiency. So I'm giving the 6s a pretty good review here. What do you guys think? Okay. There's definitely a consistency. I have a 6 of diamonds and a 6 of clubs to thank for my entire Kismet business. The spirit just dropped them in. One was corporate, the former corporate. The other one was, I don't know, 6 of clubs, incredibly responsible. And they kept me on track. They got me to write all of the material in 6 months. That's on the website now. It was really hard, but it was like, come on. And if it weren't for them, my website would never have come to be, and I would not be on this channel. They established this, and I didn't they're out of the business now, but yeah, my business is like a cow with 8 teats, and I'm milking 2 or 3 of them. I've got an Instagram account. I've got blah, 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 all these things, thanks to them. Okay, Cosmic Sunflower says, 6 of spades, my planetary ruler, is the card I'm struggling to understand. 6 of spades, right? They are an enigma. So it's your karma card and your planetary ruler. So you are an Aries. The 6 of spades. What are we going to say about them? Well, okay. So the real estate that they own is where we think of the 2 of spades sitting in Mars, Neptune. Mars, Neptune. I would say you could get a little insight by studying the 8 of clubs because they're Neptune, Mars. Yes, try this reversal. Try the other planetary positions. So for me, I would look at the Queen of Diamonds. That's Saturn, Mercury. What's Mercury, Saturn? The 5 of clubs. Oh, they all rub me the wrong way. There's only one that didn't. 1 or 2. And that's probably why, is because my Queen of Diamonds is knocking heads with them. And it's that energy, Saturn, Mercury, is like, say the thing that needs to be said. Say the thing that might rub them the wrong way. 6 of clubs are one of my favorite people. They know everyone and extremely social. They're fun. They're full of variety. Okay, another dynamic about the 6 is that they're very polarized. This is also very true of the 8 of clubs. Anybody who has cards in the Jupiter line is going to be very polarized. Like, I'm really this, but I'm also really this. I'm really lazy, but I'm also very responsible. I'm really healthy, but I have this addictive habit. And if, 6 of clubs can usually be sort of lighthearted about that. They can be a little more self-deprecating, which makes them really fun and easy to be around. They are very connected and very social. So the polarization can be kind of a hard thing to work out. I'm guessing the 6 of spades is just going to be really serious about it. I think people who come in as the 6 of spades have a lot on their plate, and it's kind of secret. So what is their ascending Pluto? It's in the spiritual spread, it's the Ace of Spades. Ask a 6 of spades, what secrets are you keeping? And they'll probably be like, what, who, me? I don't have any secrets. I mean, that Jack of Spades, that being a spade, having the Queen, Jack, and King as your royal archetypes is like really intense, because the Jack of Spades is like secretive, and they say you're a lazy workaholic. Perfect. And the Queen of Spades is like, take responsibility. She's like, ooh, huge presence, like an 8. And the king of spades is like, I'm responsible for everything that happens in the world. And so they have to deal with that responsibility thing. I always felt like life was a script, but this is confirming it. I know, isn't it crazy? I think it's like it's a fabric, and like typology just has jumped out at me enormously in this lifetime, where people just kind of, there's just all these categories, but there's really not that many. Like maybe there's 13 categories of people, these archetypes, with all the subtle differences. Okay, sixes are aiming for balance. Doesn't mean they've achieved it, and sometimes they're extraordinarily out of balance. But, a good question to ask about each typology is, what are they seeking? What are they after? What are they really intense about? Okay, so sevens, we talked about them. They're strange and wonderful and brilliant and attached. Eights are powerful leaders after the truth. Nines are, someone said they're the most intelligent. It was at the Green Knight at the very beginning. He was saying they're the most intelligent. I think that's the word he used. Nines can be really fixed and rigid. Like, I think what the nine is going for is integration. They're trying to integrate all the pieces, and sometimes they struggle with vagueness. I'm all over the map. Like, as a seven of diamonds, I've got a 9 in Mars and Jupiter, the planets that are supposed to tell you what you're doing in this lifetime. 58, and I'm like, I think I know what I'm doing. I don't know, though. But I'm open to everything. Okay, the 10s, we haven't talked about the 10s. And today is it the 10 of hearts? I think it is. Yes, today's the 10 of hearts. 10s. What are the 10s the most blank in the deck? Look at the 10s in your hand. Look at the 10s in your life. Okay, I have the feeling for the concept. I don't have the word yet. Enthusiastic. There's an enthusiasm. And Theo means God-filled. So I'm thinking about the 10 of hearts sitting next to my 9 of hearts, and being a Virgo rising. The Mercury is a very powerful influence in my life. So the 5 of spades is what gives me the ADD, but the 10 of hearts is like when I'm like really in a like happy place. I suppose it translates to a negative place, but it's like, what are we all doing here? Let's all do something. Let's get on the path of this enterprise. So the word for a 10 is enterprise. And yes, I am a Trekkie. It's Michael Jackson's card. Oh, talk about like, we are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make the. So let's start giving. Yes, they're enterprise. 10 of diamonds, Jupiter, the most like the poster child for I can do it all. I am doing it all. I'm going to do it all. I'm good at everything. It's always everything. That's kind of the theme. Everything and lots of and abundance of. And I think they have a very intuitive, felt sense of the cosmic fullness of everything. They can feel it. They're tuned into it. They're like a tree. I was talking to a 10 of diamonds once, and I said something about like, the first thing my guides told me about the 10 of diamonds is toroidal field. And when I said that to her, she's like, oh, I'm a tree. I've always felt like I was a tree, which is the root system and the leaves. It's a toroidal field, which we are, which the earth is. There's like there's a systems thing about the 10. And it's like they can feel all of this in their body. And I think it must be really intense sometimes. 10s can easily build a following. I've seen them do it, especially in politics. Who else is a 10 in politics? They're magnetic, persuasive. And of course, the 9 and the 10 have a relationship, Michelle and Barack. 10s. 10 of spades, tireless devotion. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, there's an overwhelming feeling about the 10. I think the 10s are the most overwhelming card in the deck. Okay, I have a 10 of hearts who's a really dear friend, and she's not overwhelming. She doesn't want to control everybody. She doesn't feel overwhelmed with the group. I think she does. She's an astrologer. She's become a very skilled astrologer and medicine journey kind of healer, very much into the shamanic path. But she's, man, we should read her card spread in the ascending because that's where she's at. But they're also, the 10 of hearts is very, very tender-hearted, and I think that the Achilles heel of the 10 of diamonds is low self-esteem. I don't matter. I'm not really worthy. I'm not really worthy. And man, do they cover that up with achievement. So what is their Neptune? What do they value? What is their ideal? Achievement. I've got to show for. Got to have something to show for everything that I'm doing. What am I doing here? What have I've been doing all this time? My daughter's planetary ruler's the 10 of diamonds. But the 9 of hearts descending Pluto is like, under all of that is like, can you just be? Can you be worthy just being and not doing? Very different from the 10 of hearts in a way. 10 of spades, don't know many of them. They're dark, they're heavy, they're secretive. Farrah Fawcett, it's a calling. It's a calling to be the 10 of spades. It's our relationship composite card. And I can say that there's a cosmic wholeness that we're trying to build, and we're trying to build what is our devotion. And success, of course, is a word that goes with them. What does success mean to me? How do I define success? Do I define it on my terms or according to what everybody else sees and thinks? I think they're going to be very visible, whether they want to be or not. And there are introverted 10s that have a difficult time with that. But they do tend to sort of be really one or the other. Vintage Soul, how does one know if they are in their descending or ascending path? Very excellent question, and they're both. We haven't talked about the kings. That's the only one. I did it very haphazardly. Let's pursue that, Vintage Soul. It's always both. So I made a discovery. My guides downloaded me with something in the pure spread. So there's nothing about resolving issues here or dysfunction. This is perfect. The perfect template of reality. So if you stick yourself in here, going to the left is receiving. Going to the right is giving. The Jack receives from the mother. The mother gives to the Jack, communicating, talking, and giving you language, helping your mind. The King is providing nurture, the home, for the Jack. The Jack descending receives the home. So there's this giving, receiving. In the mundane spread, what about the 10 of spades? Yeah, I covered them briefly, but I don't know that many. I had to really dig into famous people to write the report for the 10 of spades. But sitting in Jupiter and Mercury, I think they have the capacity to see the whole picture. What needs to happen here? What do we need to do here? They're pragmatic, they're powerful. I think they're very quietly understated. And there's always the possibility of dealing with addiction because they're down here, Neptune, right? Dreaming, imagining. I'm sorry, I don't have a lot to say about the 10 of spades, but with that being our, what did I just say? Our composite card in our relationship, we're definitely working the hand, which is a very difficult hand. 10 of spades, very challenging hand. I've seen other like celebrity couples that have that as their cosmic whatever, and I've just seen them implode, and I'm like, oh my God, I can see it. Like, I understand this because it's, because we've been working that card for the last 13 years, and we did split up and get back together and just got married last year after 12 years. I've wondered if embracing your Saturn would result in more stability and achievements. Absolutely, well said. Very well said. At 45, 7 of diamonds, 9 of hearts, they switch. They do a switcheroo. And the 2 of hearts had been my Saturn card all that time. And so I had to embrace the fact that I fell in love very easily. That the whole relationship intimacy thing, it's not that I was bad at it, it's that it was my classroom. I reframed relationship when I realized it was my Saturn card. I was gaining mastery in relationship. I've thought of being a couples counselor, but I can honestly say I have gained a certain amount of mastery when it comes to relationship. Books like Passionate Marriage, Nonviolent Communication, seminal works in the realm of actually relating in an authentic way. So yes, embracing your Saturn. What about your ascending Saturn card? So ascending, to get back to Vintage Soul's question, you know that you're expressing your ascendant card, your ascending cards, by the way you give and serve. What is a way that you show up in service and in giving? What do your friends praise you for? Oh, you're whatever in my life. You're the most whatever in my life. I feel so safe with you. I feel like I can tell you anything. I'm describing the Seven of Hearts as my ascending Mercury. My communication style is such that, and I'm so sorry if it sounds like I'm tooting my horn, but somebody reflected this back to me, but it just came to me intuitively that I can communicate with somebody like someone like a burn victim. I can apply the gauze in such a way that it's more tender and gentle and the least painful of anyone that's delivered that to them. Like, I'm really sensitive to my guides when I'm talking to somebody that has a huge blind spot. And I'm like, oh my God. And how do I tell this person that they are fixated on something? And my guides, they keep that word out of my mind until after the reading. And then, what I say to them is like, trust, let go, surrender, really focus on that. Like I'm just tuning into you being just like really tight, just really tight, and how can you kind of massage some gentleness into that? And when you really get into the interstitial tissues emotionally, which is what Seven of Hearts can be about, then you see what's really there, and nobody's bad. They're just like, there's just a survival thing that kicked in. So anyway, it's how you give and serve and love. So your ascending Saturn card, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Guess what my ascending card is? The Ten of Spades. So we're coming back to the Ten of Spades. For me, that would be embracing my own definition of success. It would be, I'm capable of being very busy and organized. I mean, the Ten of Spades is like, ooh, it's like, thousand horsepower engine, and when it's not engaged, it's very frustrated. If you get a 10 of spades in Mars, in your Mars period, and you get depressed, that's why, is because there's a potential to just like really move forward, and it's highlighting what is keeping you stuck. So yes, I think the ascending Saturn card is very difficult to achieve, but when you do, it's like power. You're like, this is my power. I'm in my power, my sovereignty, my potential. I'm living into my potential. You are embracing your 10 of clubs. Okay, so Mercury, Venus, Mars, it's your Saturn, your descending Saturn. So when you embrace that, what does that look like? How has that been your classroom? I call that card, the 10 of clubs, the paradigm shifter. Lots of information. So tens, remember how I said they're like the cosmos? You can feel the cosmos. The cosmos of knowledge, an organizing principle for knowledge would be a paradigm. So it is a container. It's not infinite like a 9. It's a container. Okay, we've allowed all the information in as a 9, and now we're coming into giving it form, definition. Let's give it a name. Like Joseph Campbell, my favorite 10 of clubs. Man, he contributed more to the global paradigm in a positive way than anyone I can think of at the moment, with the whole concept of the hero's journey and how it's a story that repeats and repeats and repeats, and the stories that we love the most. Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, you name it. Yes, so while Cosmic Sunflower is contemplating that 10 of clubs, I would say one of the questions you would have is, how should I look at everything? If you're a David Wilcock fan, he's a 2 of spades. Talk about global concepts and organizing principles. Like, he's taken his whole life to kind of work that out and figure out where he is. It's a lot. It's managing a lot of information. I would say that's the challenge. And then what's your ascent? So yeah, tell me what you think about that. Your ascending Saturn is the Two of Clubs. So this would be about clear communication, intimacy through understanding. How is your self-talk? It brings it from the cosmic down to this very intimate place of how am I communicating with myself? What's my back and forth? What's my argument style? Listening. How do we give and serve with the Two of Clubs? It'd be interviewing people, being receptive to information. Yeah, that would be the conversation between the Two of Clubs and the Ten of Clubs. Ten of Clubs is I know a lot. The Two of Clubs says I know how to listen. I know how to receive and communicate in an intimate, trusting place. Gosh, this is fun. And we're at an hour. Kings are the most, to wrap it up, kings are the most belligerent. No, sorry, that popped in my head, but I would say gracious, without a doubt. The kings have the capacity to be the most inclusive and gracious. They have kind of an inborn sense of, and they don't even know it. I'm the father here, and I'm responsible for how this meeting goes, how this task goes, how this family feels, how this classroom is conducted. One of my closest friends is a communications professor, and she's the King of Clubs. She is the most gracious, especially in her speech, inclusive, skillful. She is very aware of how her classroom feels, and all of her little students are like, she's very aware of that container that she's creating. Kings create containers. The King of Hearts creates a very pragmatic container where people can get shit done because they're heading up the Mars line. So it's not just the comfort, sweet, loving father energy. It's they feel that way towards the people that are under them. So my brother is the King of Hearts, and he's a choir director and a professor. And it is such a pleasure to hear him stand up and speak in front of any size group, because he reaches out with not just his heart, but this gracious energy of virtue. There is a virtue in their embrace. Metaphysical moment. I was studying the cards at Panera. I was looking at perhaps this very chart. And not physically, but in my third eye, I looked at the kings, and my guides drew me. I became aware that there's a group up there that guides people with the cards. I talk to them. They talk to me all the time. I love it. Or maybe it's just one. I don't know. But they said, look at the kings. And they were all crying. I saw tears coming down their little faces on their little cards. And they said, the king is in service to the suit that he is, which is the virtue that he represents. So the King of Hearts is in service with love, the virtue of kindness, respect. The King of Diamonds is in service with helping you get your desires. Diamonds are all about desire and values. What do you really value? What do you crave? I'm going to create a container for you where so I have a very dear friend who is a Pilates instructor. He was basically like my life coach for years and years. King of Clubs, the virtue of communication and understanding. King of Spades, the virtue of taking responsibility and doing stuff. So anyway, yeah, the view count is already going down because we are past an hour. Any other questions or final thoughts? Does anybody have anything they want to say or ask? This has been so much fun. Go to my website, check out your card. It's in the description below. Look over my products. And I'm going to do a quick departing couple of cards here. Thank you so much for your participation and for joining. Here's your card reading. Two of Clubs. We're giving and receiving information. That's the bath of our reading. The question for everyone is, are you listening? It's one of the most important things you can do. Chill. I've noticed the daily cards are super accurate. The daily cards, like today being the 10 of hearts, um, and there were 10 of us here, including me. That's so cool. Or daily card in terms of like if you have Robert Camp's app or the My Cards app, there are different apps you can get and it'll tell you what your daily card is. And I've gotten out of the habit of studying that, but chill, try this. Add your card value to the value of the daily card and look at the composite and see what the influence is there. So the cards are numbered. Ace of Hearts is 1, and it goes all the way up to 52. Hearts, clubs, diamonds, spades, with the King of Spades being 52. So if you write it all out. How does one embrace 3 of Hearts long range? Ooh, yeah, be open. Be open. We do have the 3 of Diamonds as a result here. And again, that's openness. This is change of values. 8 of Spades is be confident and strong. So confidence and strength paired with flexibility, openness, and listening. 3s are always about options. Don't get attached. Examine your attachments to people, to one-on-ones. Look at intimate relationships and be willing to just be open to something new and different. Like the kind of archetype of the 3 of Hearts is the dating around card. It's be a used car salesman emotionally. No, a used car shopper. Emotionally. Don't get attached. Look it over. Yeah, it's red. Yeah, it goes fast, but have you seen its carburetor? Do cars even have carburetors anymore? Anyway, I'm going to enroll in your class on personality cards. Blessings and thank you for your teachings. You are so welcome. Yeah, I have a couple of classes on my websites. My website. It is kismet.com. And I still stand by everything that I wrote. Usually you write stuff and then you look back and you're like, oh, I've learned so much since then. I don't feel that way about anything I wrote. And I think it's because I was really guided. There were times I just broke down crying when I was writing about the cards, writing up reports, whatever, because it's like I was encountering this divine essence of a 3 or of a whatever. And I'm like, this is this person's sacred hero's journey. I love it. I love it. We're all in the process of becoming, and it's so hard for everybody. We're heroes in our own journey. So, yeah, be open. Don't get attached. And also the Mercury influence is be willing to try a lot of different things. The cards are ancient and beautiful. Isn't it crazy? It's like beyond ancient. I use Robert Camp daily card, each card. It's a free app on his site. Today my card is the 4 of clubs. Oh, isn't that fun? Okay, yeah. I did that for a long time too. So it lines up for you. That's interesting. And Chile, I'm trying to remember. You were February something, right? Going back. Yeah, February. You're the King of Diamonds. Love the King of Diamonds. Okay, so the 4 of clubs is your Venus card. So yeah, do what you love. Enjoy your mind. Read a book. Do some writing. Come to some conclusions. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you again for your participation. I just love it when you guys show up, especially when you're like, oh, I caught you live. That's like, oh, wow, you watch the replays? Do you put me on accelerated speed? I always do that. It's my Virgo rising. It's like, come on, talk faster. I don't have all day here. And once I tried speeding up my own voice and I was like, oh my God, I'm like Laura Eisenhower. It's like, sound like a chipmunk if you sped my voice up. Anyway, have a great day. I love you guys. I'm already going to say you're welcome because people thank me and I like try to type it in afterwards. There. Okay. Have a great day, you guys. Bye.